2026. We are exactly just about 3 plus few days, months before Zambia goes to the polls on August 13th. Critical time that we are living in. I want you to tag a friend, let them know that ZBTR is live, and we have a very serious discussion today, and we have a guest that is going to address some of these issues. My good old friend, brother, and so many other things I can say about you. But before we do that, I want you to know that our country needs every citizen's engagement. Our country needs you to pay attention to what is going on. Our country, Zambia, is at a critical, pivotal time where everyone, I know the registration process for you to vote is going to pass, but guard your registration card. That's what we are about to do today, to talk about the democratic process, the path to the 2026 elections, and everything that concerns and is related to that. All right. My guest today is a seasoned lawyer, a political strategist, and a widely regarded kingmaker in Zambia's political landscape. Most of you may not know that he was actually campaign manager for late President Michael Sata, and played a pivotal role in getting late president as well. Sadly, ECL also to get into the presidency. Okay. In 2021, he played a significant role in ushering in the current government led by Hakainde Hichilema of the UPA. Now he's positioning himself to challenge that very government. Interesting scenario here, right? Let's welcome my dear brother, the President of Zambia Must Prosper, and Mr. President.
Mkwai, Vadishan Mkwai.
Do you know what this reminds me?
London.
This reminds me of when he came in Osogo when he became Prime Minister.
Of UNIP.
And you know they had that, yes.
Mm.
And then they had that relationship with Charles Manson. I know you remember, that's why you are
Yes.
So at the beginning of the interview, Charles Manson said, so I don't know, should I call you Mr. President?
Right.
That was a good one. KBF, welcome.
Thank you very much, Vanathan. Murishanyuku. That's good.
Everybody's doing good.
That's right.
Everybody on your side.
We're good.
Before we went live,
Mm-hmm.
you were telling me that everybody left the house.
Yeah, it's time to reboot. 2 by 2.
I like that. Time to report.
Yes.
Time to report. Everybody, what I love about me talking to Mr. Waria is that he's a lawyer. He's not just a lawyer, but he's been practicing law for 31 years.
40 now.
Oh, wait.
40 years.
There you go. 40 years.
Yes.
So I'm going to sort of invoke your legal aspect of things on many of my questions so that we can understand, because the constitution here also is on the line.
Right.
We need
Right.
to understand a lot of constitutional matters.
Mm.
As a lawyer, my brother,
Mm-hmm.
what does Zambian law say about the repatriation of the vote when the party disagrees? Who has the final legal authority? Before we even talk about this year's issue, what does the constitution just say about this matter?
Mm. Well, first of all, let me say that there is no law in Zambia that regulates the burial of a late president in this country.
Okay.
What we have, however, are protocols, or you can say regulations, or a tradition that has emerged over the years. For those people that may be young and may not be aware, maybe a bit of history. We've had 7 presidents thus far. 6 of them have died. Out of the 6, only 2 presidents died in this country. The late President Kenneth David Kaunda, our first Republican president, Frederick Jacob Titus Chiluba, our second Republican president. Zambia. The rest of the presidents died outside this country. To put that in context, the third Republican president.
I'm glad you brought that out. That's a very interesting concept there, which
MY. The third Republican president, Barupia Banda, Mwanawasa, bafuire ku France. The fourth Republican president, Barupia Banda, died in Egypt. The fifth Republican president, Michael Chufyasata, bafuire ku London. The sixth Republican president, Edgar Chagwa Lungu, died in South Africa. So there is nothing new about a president of the Republic of Zambia dying outside the jurisdiction of this country. We've done this before as a nation, and we've repatriated the bodies of our late presidents back into this country. Like I said, there is no actual law that regulates the burial of a late president. However, the government of the day after the first death that we encountered decided that Embassy Park will be used as a burial site for our presidents when they die. But we are Africans and we are Zambians in particular. So Ubuntu Nse is required. In other words, the family of the deceased president always has to play a pivotal role as to how the remains of the late president will be put to rest. I think those who are older and like history like myself, you will recall that when the late President Mwanawasa died in France, he was first of all attending some conference in Egypt, then he fell sick, he was being flown to France. When he died, the wife, the first lady then, Maureen Mwanawasa, flew back to Zambia to come and negotiate and discuss with the government of the day, the MMD, and then agreed how her late husband's remains were going to be repatriated and brought back here. It was easier then because being in government, his vice president then, Barupia Banda, presided over that funeral. What am I trying to say? I'm trying to give this historical expose because sometimes people think when things like by ECL happens, like we haven't been down this road. We have. We have transported the remains of late presidents and brought them back. But not once has a government, a sitting government, ever been at loggerheads with the family as much as we are now with the UPND against ECL's remains. And part of that is because towards the end of his life, I began engaging the late president by ECL. He called me and we reconciled, we discussed a lot of issues, but it became clear, even from his public pronouncements, that he was so hurt and so disappointed with the UPND government that he decided that, God forbid, but if I died, I do not want this particular president to preside over my funeral. Not that the government must not be involved, but he said Hakainde Hichilema must not preside over his funeral. That at least he made clear. And that's where we are now.
What was he hurt about? You said he said to you he was so hurt about this government. What was he hurt about?
When the president lost power, he handed over power graciously. Like any Democrat, he agreed that he had lost elections. We all went to Hero Stadium. Hakainde Hichilema was handed over power. Yes. It became Hakainde Hichilema's one very difficult assignment, but one he kept at heart. He wanted to punish ECL, and he wanted to ensure that he dismantled the PF. Akainde's drive has always been that the PF had arrested him 15 times plus when he was in the opposition. And because of that, he was always bitter and he was always against anything to do with the PF.
Should various disputes of former heads of state be resolved by courts, tradition, which you mentioned in your preamble to say there's no law, but we have protocols and traditions, or new legislation? Should we enact some law to give guidance to this process?
Thank you for that important question. Well, in my considered opinion, having been through what we've been now, I would suggest very strongly that we probably need legislation to make it clear as to how we're going to bury our late presidents when that time comes. The reason for it, Nathan, is because, well, what we have learned over this 10 months with the ECL situation is that the relationship between the president, a former president, or a president before he dies, and the current president is very, very personal. And in relation to Hakainde Hichilema and ECL, it was almost at a point where they couldn't see eye to eye, they couldn't talk to each other. Although, when he briefly retired out of politics, ECL made it clear that he was available to be consulted, he was available to give advice, and he was available for the sake of the country to help the nation. Hakainde Hichilema did not accept that. That bitterness that he carried, that the PF, when they were in power, had arrested him 15 times, he carried into the presidency. He did not get into the seat of now he's the father of the nation. And that's the problem. So for me, it would be better right now to have legislation. And I'll give an example. In South Africa, for example, the law is very clear. The state can come in, but the final say is with the family. I think we realized when the late Deputy President David Mabuza died recently, the state came in, but at a certain point, the family said the state will end here and we shall take over. And Mabuza was buried wherever he was buried in his home village. I know that Tanzania has got legislation as to how they bury late presidents. So the state takes over and things like that happen. So in Zambia, like I said, we have traditions. So it will be better to have a law so that it's clear for the family. What's more, we who are vying for public office, we must understand that once you become president, you are no longer just a property of your family. Especially if you touch the office of president, you are an institution by yourself, but more importantly, you are the property of a state because you were commander-in-chief, you are the president, you represented the government, you represented your political party, and all these are, and you might have built relations and networks across SADC, the country, the continent, and the world. So all those people would like to come and mourn you. So it's no longer a private matter, it's public. But how you conduct that funeral, the family must never, ever be pushed aside. Otherwise, again, Ubuntu say, Chalakan.
Thank you. You explained very well. I think the bottom line or the key to this matter is just to have the legislation enacted, how we move forward, because we learn from the same mistakes.
Yes, right? Yes.
We learn from mistakes.
Very true.
Like I said, I don't want us to take so much time on the issue of the ECL, but it's an unfortunate situation. I hope it comes to it.
Very unfortunate. That's true.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Okay, I want us to switch gears to this.
Yes.
Okay. The must carry a headline. Say KBF warns ECZ bosses you risk nutshell, it should give UPND more constituencies fairly. On the electoral process, KBF,
Right.
my first question is, the president needs 50% plus 50 plus 1 to win.
Right.
Can the opposition reach that threshold in 2026 without a single presidential candidate?
It will be almost impossible if we are going to split votes to reach that threshold, because all of us must understand that 50 plus 1 is quite a huge assignment. But I don't want to discourage the Zambians, and especially those in the diaspora as well. Even the UPND today cannot master 50 plus 1. Their party is in disarray. Their party is in confusion. The UPND does not know whether they are coming or going. There are internal wrangles within the UPND. But if we as an opposition were to put our heads together and agree on a single candidate, yes, we can thrash the UPND one time at the first attempt.
As things are looking now, there's a report, I have it somewhere here, I know you're aware of this. Is it 25 candidates that are indicated?
You mean the... Let me just explain there, Vanathan.
Okay, please.
When we attended... When we attended the ECZ meeting as political parties, I think there were about 80 plus political parties who attended, and roughly give and take 40 plus presidents of sorts. Some of them obviously not as, as serious as we would want or we would have wanted the discussions to be. However, what is important here is to understand that the UPND, one of its main tactics throughout their tenure of office has been to dislodge, sow seeds of confusion, and decapitate the opposition. And some of those people we were with at Mulungushi were sponsored to come and dilute the seriousness of the discussion. Back to your question. Right now, we have close to between 15